what are the top fats on a keto and carnivore diet, especially for ketosis? But really, what's more important is what fats are the most easy to consume and process if you have gallbladder issues. Welcome everyone to my very humble channel where my ass is cold as shite because it's freezing outside in the 20s in February, and next week it's going to be in the 70s. Like, you can't make this shite up. But I digress. Let's get into the fats. What are the best fats for a keto or carnivore diet? Well, if you're doing carnivore, you are already in the best lane to exist because that would be animal fats. The top fats would be beef fat, so beef tallow, and I'm going to get more into the actual fat around a ribeye as opposed to the drippings, that sort of waxy, thick, glue-like substance on the pan after you cook that ribeye. That would be rendered fat, pure fat. So we have beef, tallow, we have lard, we have lamb fat, we have butter, ghee. Chicken fat is high in omega-6, even if they are pastured chickens. Pork fat is lard, and those would be the main fats. I'm sure people might have some goat fat, but that's very unusual. It's typically going to be butter, ghee, beef, tallow, or lard. For animal fats, that is. The reason why people do a lot better on animal fats is because the breakdown of these fatty acids is the same as our own body to a large degree. You have mono, poly, and saturated fats. So mono and poly are unsaturated. People keep thinking that animal fat is pure saturated fat, but it's not. It also has mono and poly. For example, svin, or pigs. A lot of people believe that they are a majority made up of polyunsaturated fat, but that's not true. These are feedlot, corn-fed pigs. Pastured pigs, certain types of breeds of pigs produce more of a monounsaturated fat, which you would actually find in olive oil. Kind of interesting. Plant fats don't have cholesterol. Our bodies make 75% of its own cholesterol. It's an antioxidant. It's the second most powerful antioxidant in the body outside of glutathione. And people don't know this. They're like, oh my God, my total cholesterol is super high. I'm like, good. We want that. You're eating some butter and you go get a cholesterol test and that's what you see in the blood. Our bodies make the majority and recycle in the liver the majority of the cholesterol that we use. But you also need to eat cholesterol as well to keep the cycle between the dietary cholesterol and the produced or recycled cholesterol in the liver in that production. These animal fats are everything. If you're in the wild as a hunter-gatherer, it's not really the protein. You really want to go for the animal fats because of this love. Not only the fatty acid profile breakdown, but the fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin D, E, A, and K. A lot of you guys have low vitamin D status, and then they just give you this pill that crystallizes in your small intestine, puts it in the blood, but actually your body's not using it. I know, and you're having all of those physical problems. We need to consume high amounts of fat with vitamin D or the fat-soluble vitamins, as well as getting sun. The thing that completely boggles me with people doing carnivore diets is the fact that people don't understand the actual nutrition of the food that they're consuming. They heard, I can get all my electrolytes from eating ribeyes. What are you talking about? There's sodium, there's potassium, there's magnesium. Small amounts, too small to balance your electrolytes. But if we talk about the fat specifically, a lot of people on carnivore diets think that eating a little bit of suet and some ribeyes and some ground beef is giving them enough animal fat to get into ketosis, and it's not. You have to eat several ribeyes to get to the fat, which now your protein's too high, which is going to cancel out your ketone viability because your blood sugar is going to spike eating that much meat. Doesn't matter if the meat is fatty, unless you're dealing with something like an egg yolk or a very, very fatty cut of pork belly, where the pork belly is more like 95% fat. That would be suitable. But the ground beef, which is very fatty but still too much protein, and the ribeyes, no. That's why we add fat, like rendered fat. Now, you've got the fat to get into ketosis. You have the mono, poly, and saturates in animal fat that we have in our body. We're not made out of primarily mono unsaturated fat or primarily poly. We're made up of all three, just like the food we consume when it comes to ruminants. Now, we have the animal fats with the 3 fatty acids, and then we have the fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin D, E, A, and K. Like I mentioned with the vitamin D, so important on so many levels I cannot explain. Vitamin D, obviously good for so many enzymatic responses, good for the bones, good for your immune system. But then we have vitamin A, retinol. The vitamin A in carrots is carotene, which must be converted into retinol before you can use it and have viability. And it's very hard to convert retinol, or rather keratin, into retinol. So eat liver. You're going to get high amounts of vitamin A, and don't worry about the vitamin A toxicity unless you're taking Accutane or a bunch of keratin multivitamins high in A. That's the problem. It's the supplements, not the liver. Now, K obviously is good for teeth and bones and your arteries and your immune health. The K is very small in non-grass-fed cows and beef. But if they're grass-fed, you've got a good supply of K1 and K2. A, vitamin A, it's for the skin. And I really believe it's the reason why I've been able to be sort of pickled and not age so quickly, because of the butter, the amount of butter I've eaten over the years, and egg yolks and liver. It's amazing. Really and truly amazing. The fat-soluble vitamins you're not going to be getting in these plant fats. You're not. You're going to get monounsaturated fat in olive oil and avocado oil, which is a little beneficial. Doesn't really make ketones very well. Doesn't make viable ketones or make you very ketotic. And then we have other fats, like you've got coconut oil, which is primarily a saturated fat, no cholesterol, which we need for our reproductive hormones, for our brain, for our lungs, the lining of our cells. Yeah, it's a thing. Our skin, we need that cholesterol. The other fats out there, like chickens are going to be higher in omega-6, especially if they're not pastured chickens. Same as pork. And then you have butter, which has omega-3s in it, and it has MCTs in it. See, coconut oil and MCT oil are medium chain triglycerides. And this is what's very interesting on the whole gallbladder. So let's break that down. Let's get into the whole gallbladder thing, because it's huge. These ding-dongs, I'm sorry, I have to. It's been a long day, okay? Take me with a grain of salt. That sit and whine and biatch in my comment section on my short videos. They've never heard anyone talk like this about carnivore. So they say, you're wrong. Like they're 5 years old. You're wrong. Okay, please educate me, I say. They never do. I'm like, go to my long form video so you can hear me break down this shite. Okay, plant fats don't have cholesterol. They can be long chain triglycerides. Coconut oil, MCT oil are medium chain triglycerides. That means the molecules are small. You don't need a gallbladder to scrub it, break it down so you can absorb it. But butter, which has a lot of MCTs, still has LCTs. Butter, tallow, lard, lamb fat. A lot of you have a gallbladder issue where the salt should be in a liquid solution and it backs up and gets thick like molasses. And then it can't be released through the plumbing, the duct system, to get to the small intestine to break down that animal fat so you can absorb it, get into ketosis, and be happy. No, a lot of you have thick, honey, molasses, gooey bile salts, and now it has a difficult time to be released into the bile duct system. I can't talk half the time. And then meet the fat in the small intestine. Break it down so you can absorb it. But for some reason, you can with plant fats that are not MCTs, like your seed oils or like your olive oil or your avocado oil. These are LCTs just like beef tallow. But they're much easier to break down if you have a gallbladder issue or no gallbladder. You do much better on the plant fats, and that is because it doesn't back up into your gallbladder like animal fats. Now that's not normal in nature. A hunter-gatherer is not going to have gallbladder freaking problems because they're constantly eating animal fat. You either use it or you lose it. If you don't use the gallbladder and continue to eat fatty cuts of food, meat rather, you are not going to, my phone's gonna die. Let's get this popping. If you don't eat fatty cuts of meat, your gallbladder is gonna get backed up, straight up. And a lot of you guys have fat or fat phobic and we're vegans, and that is why you get fracked up in terms of the gallbladder. My friggin' phone almost died. I know. I film with my phone because the camera I bought years ago that was super expensive, I don't have time to mess with that. We gotta make a video, upload, and go. Okay. Later, when I get my studio set up, when I get my house built. But yes, the plant fats that are LCTs, long chain, thick fats that you need a gallbladder, they don't have cholesterol. And cholesterol is the molecule that can get backed up in your gallbladder. That's the problem. When you don't use the gallbladder or you're stressing out, yes, that's how you lose it. So if you're eating a bunch of low-fat diets and then you try to do a carnivore or ketogenic diet, the gallbladder is like, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for this. And cholesterol gets backed up into the gallbladder, the bile salts get thick, and you feel like you're going to puke. You don't feel well. You feel an aversion to fat. You just don't feel well. And that is the reason why it's very important. A, to make sure that you can poop. If people say that not pooping is normal on carnivore, you need to run because you must get out estrogen. Estrogen signaling is part of the reason why bile gets backed up and thick and nasty in your gallbladder. And today, people are exposed to xenoestrogens estrogen mimickers, essentially, like pesticides and plastics and freaking nasty milk from the supermarket, the commercial milk. These things can be very estrogenic. There's so many other things like cleaning materials and freaking soy and whatever. These things encourage the body to be estrogen dominant. Estrogen gets caught in the liver. The liver and the kidney and the gallbladder are all connected to a series of ducts, and then the gallbladder gets all sludged up. I know. And it doesn't work properly. Then you feel like shite when you try to eat fat. But on plant fats, for some reason, you don't feel that way, because you don't have cholesterol backing up into the gallbladder like you do animal fats. If you look at butter or tallow, it's thick. It's much harder to break it down. Even though they are both long-chain triglycerides, the oils are easier to break down because they are liquid at room temperature, and your body's warm, so they're liquid within your body. But you cannot adapt, get into ketosis, have the high, even energy, fix your autoimmunity if you're not in ketosis. These people, I've been doing carnivore for 10 years, people who are telling you that they've done carnivore for years and they're not eating enough fat and they're saying they feel great, they're leaving out and editing the days they felt like shite. Y'all are gullible. The people who believe this nonsense are gullible. Gurus are not telling you when they have a bad day. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you what's going on with their blood sugar, their gallbladders, their so many different things they don't talk about when they're eating high protein. For years, are they? Just saying. Yeah. How many people are talking about the gallbladder while doing a carnivore diet? I mean, they talk about having diarrhea or constipation like this much. They need to talk about it this much because it happens all the time. If you're constipated, it's because you're dehydrated. Yeah, on carnivore. And then you got these knuckleheads that are like, I do carnivore and I'm amazing and I've done it for 5 years and I'm woo-hoo-hoo. It's like the vegans. Same thing. No one is going to feel great every day. Carbs can make you feel puffy and bloated, give you acid reflux, like starches and processed foods. Too much fat for somebody who's got slow motility and a gallbladder issue, they feel like, ugh. People who eat too much protein can feel back pain. They can develop high uric acid levels. Their creatinine and bun ratios become off. They develop high iron. Okay? And a lot of people don't even know that this is happening. Blood sugar spiking on a lot of protein. But because they lost 60 pounds, it's the only thing or they stopped eating the standard American diet, and now they've gone over to a carnivore diet, and they're not having those symptoms. They don't have the acid reflux anymore. They don't have the skin issues that they had before, but they have energy issues, or they might have constipation, loose stool issues. But, I'm so much better now, so they just sort of like selectively and cherry pick and kind of leave out stuff because they do so well on carnivore. They don't want to tell you that when they're doing bad because they don't want to discourage people from doing this diet. But I'm here to tell you the truth. Y'all need to have all the information so you don't injure yourself, because a lot of people develop issues. They don't adapt, the hair falls out, their period gets weird, or their reproductive hormones drop, or men's testosterone is dropping. They get the back pain, or the foamy urine, or the stinky urine, the ammonia smell. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, on ketogenic diets, it's the same thing, except people can eat vegetables. Sometimes people see food, like vegetables, in their poop. That means they've got severe leaky gut, but that's a whole nother video. And I need to go and edit this one now before it gets too late. And it is too late, because tomorrow I got to do fencing on my land, because I bought 10 acres. I've got 2 horses, 2 donkeys, and now a rescue dog that I found under my camper on a cold night like tonight. I think it's going to get down to 25 degrees, and I found my puppy at 22 degrees at 8 weeks old, shivering, an economic dump. Yeah, I think I might have met his siblings at Tractor Supply today, but I was in such a hurry, I didn't have enough time, because Deo is like the same age as those puppies. I wish I had a video. I wish I videotaped them, but I was in a hurry. Sold a few, couldn't get rid of a few. Interesting. If you guys want to learn more, go to stephanieperson.com and book a consultation, because this is what I do. I've been doing it for years, and for a while people couldn't find me because I was focusing on life. I didn't want to sit and be like an internet hoe and just sitting there thirsty for clicks and views and numbers like now. No, just saying. It's like you work so hard and you're like, why am I doing this? Okay, I got to bump it up. Do I really have to bump it up? Yes, I have to bump it up. Some people are like, you're clickbaiting the thumbnails. I'm like, I know, it's stupid. You have to. If you don't, you get shadow banned. Then all that work goes for naught. I know, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I feel like I'm too old for some of these titles and the thumbnails. I wish thumbnails were not allowed, and you would have to just focus on the title or the content or the description. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic, where I post every single day on my stories especially. And then my Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. I'm 56. I soon am going to be 57. I didn't start admitting my age until 46. I was too scared. Like a dumbass. Now I'm proud of it. And then after turning 57, 3 years, I'll be 60. We don't have to be afraid of aging. You have to learn how to give up one thing to gain another. And that's what I explain to people in consultations. Yes, you're going to have to be a purist. Yes, you're going to have to change. But you're going to feel so much better. And you can get off those stupid thyroid medications they give out like Tic Tacs. Right? Then you can start being more healthy and exercising and having better drinking water and paying attention to labels and having a better attitude, because the mind is so connected to the body. It's an amazing feeling, and you stay young by staying adventurous. When you get stuck doing the same thing every single day, you age. Yeah. I am working on the course. I'm now working with some people to get all of the technical things organized on my website, so I will release the sign-up dates soon. It's a 30-day challenge. I also run a course that's month to month, which is $15 a month, and that is also really amazing. I've met a lot of great people through it, and I gotta go because I've turned off my heater so I can do this talk without that blaring noise, and it's getting a little chilly inside, and I'm out. Peace.